Welcome to the GameRamble video review for Hook, narrated by me, Dark Cloud. As always, the full text version of this review can be found on the GameRamble website linked below. Also, please keep in mind that this review was originally published in 2015. The TLDR is that Hook is a concise and minimal puzzle game that's worth every cent of its wallet-friendly price. It features 50 levels of hooks that need to be reeled in using the buttons connected to them. The challenge doesn't kick in until late in the game, but the monochrome visuals and relaxing music make for a very meditative experience. It's not a game that will tax you too much, but completing it is still very rewarding. Gameplay receives an 8 out of 10. While simple and easy to grasp, the concept is quite clever. Graphics receives an 8 out of 10. The visuals are very minimal, but still stylish. Sound receives an 8 out of 10. The audio is calm and relaxing. The overall score for Hook is 8 out of 10. And now for the full review. Hook is a short, minimal puzzle game about pressing buttons. Apparently the developer published the prototype on Congregate, and the feedback was positive enough to warrant a full release. It's easy to see why players got hooked on Hook though. The gameplay is simple enough that anyone can instantly figure out what is expected from them, without the need for tutorials. In fact, Hook eschews traditional menus and throws players straight into the first level when they start the game. Beneath the title, a round button is shown, connecting a thin line to a thick line. Press the button and the thick line is reeled in, which completes the level. By level 2 there are 2 buttons, and the thin lines are now curved. Level 3 yet again increases the number of buttons and layout of the lines, and by level 4 it becomes clear that to prevent some lines from getting hooked on others, it's essential to press the buttons in the correct sequence. This trend continues through the levels as hooks and lines begins to overlap. Eventually, the ability to manipulate the paths of lines is introduced, and buttons connected to multiple lines make an appearance. It never feels overwhelming though, and with a keen eye and some patience, players can complete the game in a single session. Looking at screenshots of Hook might make it seem like a complicated game, but usually it's just a matter of figuring out in which order to remove the lines without getting them hooked on each other. It almost feels like Jenga at times, as some of the later levels are a jumble mess of lines and hooks that look practically impossible to disentangle at first glance. However, the developer designed Hook to be more of a game-like experience than a challenge, so frustration rarely rears its ugly head. It wasn't until we reached levels in the late 30s that we had to really concentrate on avoiding mistakes. From level 40 and up, we had to slow down and double check before pressing any buttons, but by level 50 it was all over. Nevertheless, for the minuscule asking price, the 50 levels on offer never felt like a rip-off, and although we would have liked to see a few more, we walked away from the game satisfied with the experience it offered. It doesn't really have much replay value, and the lack of challenge might deter some players, but it was definitely fun while it lasted. Visually, Hook makes use of a very minimal style featuring grey lines on a white background. The monochromatic graphics are a good fit for the game's theme, and make it easy to follow the paths of lines, even when they overlap everywhere. We didn't encounter any issues, but the lack of resolution and audio settings could cause problems for some players. The audio in Hook also matches the monochrome visuals and features calming sounds and tunes. This combination gives the game an almost meditative feel, which is pretty neat. Hook can only be played with a mouse, and interaction is limited to clicking on buttons to activate them, or clicking on special sections to alter the paths of lines. Since the lines overlap so much, ensuring that the hook you want to remove are connected to the button you plan on pressing and nothing else is essential. Because of the intricate structure of later levels, you get 3 attempts before the level resets, and you have to start from scratch, which is more than fair. Hook is a straightforward game, so there's not much more to say other than we enjoyed our time completing all the levels. Each level is sufficiently different from the others to keep the experience engaging, and new elements such as the wireless switches makes for interesting puzzles. Overall, it's an excellent game for players who want a cheap and straightforward puzzle experience that feels rewarding to complete, but won't leave them stumped for too long. Puzzle veterans will probably find it too easy, but newcomers to the genre will appreciate the gentle difficulty curve. Thanks for joining me for this Hook PC review. Remember to like, subscribe and share. Until next time.